All right, let's jump into the weather now. But first, meteorologist Kit Thomas has a lunar treat for us outside. He's outside right now. What's happening in the skies, Kit?
Yeah, I haven't delved too far into lunacy out here, Rudy, but we are enjoying a pretty rare treat this weekend, or this week really. Tonight, we're seeing a partial lunar eclipse. Now, this is not quite as spectacular as the total solar eclipse we saw earlier in the year, but it's still really cool. Let's take a look at the moon just over my shoulder, back behind me right now. We've got the very beginnings of the Earth's shadow beginning to pass over the moon. In a solar eclipse, the moon's shadow passes over the Earth. This is going to be a much slower thing because the Earth's shadow is so much larger than the moon's. Now, what you're going to see, notice on the left upper side of the moon, sort of on the eye of the man in the moon there, we're starting to see a slightly darker region on the moon's surface, and we're going to eventually see that side turning a little bit red. It will not be a total blood moon, but we will still see that. So let's take a look at the graphics here. We're going to see the partial eclipse at its maximum eclipse at around 9:44 this evening, so just after our show. Run outside and begin to enjoy the full Earth shadow, the Earth's umbra. That's the darkest region of its shadow going over that upper left corner. Then it will eventually slide off to the upper right side, and then everything will be wrapped up by around 10:15 tonight. You can jump back in and watch our sister station, ABC 24, by that time. Now, temperatures this evening are rather pleasant, and it is very clear as well. We've got very, very clear skies out here across the Mid-South, so definitely a treat here for this lunar eclipse. Temperature right now in Memphis, 77 degrees, a little bit cooler back east in Corinth and Bolivar as well. Forest City, also at 66 degrees. Clarksdale at 77 this evening. Now, tonight we could see some foggy skies as we head into the early hours of the morning, but that should all burn off by around 9 a.m. Afternoon highs will be in the 80s. I'll have a look out at the rest of your forecast, and we'll take another couple of checks of the lunar eclipse throughout the newscast. But for now, I'm meteorologist Kit Thomas for CW30 out in the parking lot. We'll send it back to Rudy.
You reached for the stars with that one. Thanks a lot. See you later in the newscast.
Well, Rudy, we're looking at the partial lunar eclipse underway right now. This is visible from anywhere in North America at the moment. We'll have an update on that, plus a look at your forecast right after the break. Stay tuned.
Right now, the Mid-South certified most accurate forecast.
We're back with meteorologist Kit Thomas. A nifty show and tell you got for us tonight.
Yeah, so we have a partial lunar eclipse. This isn't quite as spectacular as the total eclipse we saw earlier in April this year, but it's still a cool event to get outside, enjoy some nice early fall air, and take a look at the moon.
It's a beautiful moon tonight, too.
Yeah, so let's take a look at it now as we're starting to see just the early parts of the Earth's umbra. That's the darkest part of the shadow. The shadow of the Earth isn't quite as well defined as the shadow of the moon during a total solar eclipse. So that's why you see that gradient of darkening across the face of the moon right now. That's called the penumbra. It's the outer shadow of the Earth. Now, as we get deeper into the umbra, it'll start to look pinker and redder as we get into some of the darker shadow shades. And then that's basically all of the sunset red colors bending through the Earth's atmosphere and hitting the surface of the moon. Now, looking at the moon a little bit closer here, we'll take it full. We can actually see just that darker upper left corner right now. Now, you'll be able to see this for the next 45 minutes, and it will begin to track across the upper side of the moon, and then it will eventually depart by around 10:15 tonight on the upper right side. Again, this is not going to be a full blood moon, but it is still a treat to go out and see a little bit of astronomy in works. Let's take a look at your temperatures, though, outside right now, as we are in a pretty pleasant air mass. We've got clear sky, crystal clear sky here. It's a good thing we're not in the Carolinas because they've got clouds, and across the plains, they've also got clouds. We're sitting right under high pressure, keeping our temperatures right now in the 70s and 60s through most of the Mid-South. We'll eventually see our temperatures dropping down a little bit cooler. But here's satellite and radar. Like I said, in the plains, we've got some severe weather that we've had through the day. High pressure here across the Mid-South and Midwest, and then cloud cover across the East Coast. Now, right now, it's just at moonrise for the West Coast, and they also have some clouds in the area. But It's just going to be a hit or miss for where they see it. So we've got a real treat tonight. Forecast this evening, we just have clear skies continuing until we get to tomorrow morning. We could have some low-level fog building in around your commute time. Keep that in mind. You want to use those low beams when you're out driving in some of the darker hours. And of course, keeping those fog lights on as you're driving through the fog after sunrise. Thursday evening, we still have some clouds around the area. It's just going to be some patchy clouds around most of the area. Not looking at much chance for any rain in the near term. But as we get into next week, we start to see some more rain coming through parts of the plains. It just misses us here in the Mid-South on this run for Sunday, but as we get Tuesday into Wednesday's time frame, we might start to see a little better chances for rain across parts of Tennessee and into the Central Plains as well. We might see eventually this one getting to the Memphis area. This is just the end of the model run, so it's a quick tease for us. But in total, the next 7 days, not really showing much chance of rain. A nice time to take a break from the remnants of Francine that we saw just last weekend. Tonight, lows dropping back to around 65 degrees here in the Memphis area, but to our north, we could see lows dropping down into the 50s, and even some parts of northeastern Mississippi and western Tennessee could get into the 50s as well. Tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be fairly similar to today. Might be just a little bit cooler than what we saw today, as we got up to near 90 in parts of the Mid-South. And your 7-day forecast shows a very pleasant forecast indeed. We're staying very close to average, which is, at this point in September, around 86 degrees, and our lows will remain in the 60s. Another lunar eclipse update. It's getting darker there on that upper left corner. We'll take another look at it as we wrap up the newscast on the dark side of the break. Stay tuned. Well, here we have a darker shade of the moon. This isn't a gibbous moon or a crescent moon. This is actually a full moon tonight that is getting occluded by part of the Earth's shadow. Have you ever seen a lunar eclipse, Rudy?
I've been around a long time. I've seen lots of eclipses.
I remember the first one I saw, or the first time I was trying to see one, it was cloudy. And I was so disappointed. I am very happy that we've got a treat tonight.
It's always a treat to see that, too. How far again is the moon from us now?
It's about 250,000 miles-ish, give or take. I don't know the exact number. But it is a, quote, supermoon because it is at its closest point in its elliptical, oval-shaped orbit right now. So it is about 12% bigger. It's not really noticeable to your naked eye, but it is still pretty cool.
When it looks so large, puts all that into perspective. Thanks a lot, Kit. And thank you for joining us tonight at 9. As always, we're glad you're here with us. And we hope to see you right back here again tomorrow night. Have a great night, everybody.